Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival.
So, Jim, you hear what he was saying there, talking, this is something we keep hearing from Israeli officials about Iran having enough uranium that he said there it could be 9 atom bombs. Earlier, I'd heard a figure about 10 or so from officials. Is that something that U.S. officials agree with, or what is their view of a statement like that from the Prime Minister?
They certainly agree that the breakout time, as it's known, that the time that Iran would require to go from the fissile material it has right now to enough to create a bomb, has reduced over time, perhaps to as short as a period of weeks. Now, notably, when the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal that President Obama negotiated, was still in place, the goal of that deal was to lengthen that breakout time to months, perhaps to a year. Without that deal, without the monitoring, without the limiting of Iran's enrichment capabilities, that breakout time has reduced over time to perhaps a number of weeks. So what the Prime Minister is saying there is correct. Now, as you know, President Trump's hope was that he could negotiate with Iran to lengthen that breakout period and perhaps, as he said publicly, stop enriching uranium entirely on Iranian soil, which has seemed to be a red line for Iran. The question, of course, is, did Trump still have hope that he could make a deal, or had he lost all hope? We don't know. Israel has, well, certainly made negotiations right now, if not extremely unlikely, impossible, right, with the attacks we're seeing tonight.
Yeah, Trump seemed to be more disillusioned about the possibility of that in recent days, but he was still hopeful. I mean, they were still going to the talks, as you mentioned, in Oman this weekend. Jim, stand by. I know you've been talking to your sources. We'll get back to you in a moment as you're hearing more about this attack that's unfolding tonight. Also here is CNN political and global affairs analyst that I just mentioned, Barak Ravid, who is one of the best source reporters in the region. Barak, what are you hearing about why now and what Israel is striking tonight?
So first, Caitlin, something I just heard from a senior Israeli official who says that according to Israeli assessments, there are very high chances that the entire Iranian general staff, including the head of the Iranian general staff of the Iranian military, and several senior Iranian nuclear scientists were all eliminated in the Israeli strikes tonight. I hear that again from a senior Israeli official who says that several senior top Iranian military commanders, including the head of the general staff of the Iranian military and senior nuclear scientists, have all been targeted in those strikes. And according to IDF assessments, there's a high chance that they've been eliminated.
I mean, that is really striking intelligence, if that is accurate from what you're hearing from an Israeli official, from what they've been seeing. The question is, was that part of the target here when they were going after? I mean, so far all we had heard confirmed was that they had targeted elements of Iran's nuclear program and long-range missile capabilities. But were they actually directly targeting these senior military leaders and nuclear scientists in Iran?
As far as I understand, they were. I think this is a much broader operation than we thought. This is war between Iran and Israel. This is what happened tonight. This is what's going to happen in the next days, I think in the next weeks, maybe even more. The Middle East has entered tonight a whole new phase that I don't think we ever seen before. And the consequences of what happened tonight, I think we still don't know the the implications. We still don't know fully the results, but I think we are in a totally new phase in the region.
The question immediately is what Iran is going to do in response to this. And if they knew that this Israeli attack was coming, I mean, obviously with the U.S. reducing the non-essential personnel yesterday, there were questions about this circulating all around the White House at least. What are you hearing in terms of what Israel is preparing for if they knew that they were going to be able to eliminate senior Iranian military commanders and Iranian nuclear scientists?
So I think what the Israelis hope is that what they did tonight will significantly damage Iran's ability to launch a retaliation, a counterstrike, especially with long-range missiles. A senior Israeli official told me that other than the airstrikes, the Israeli Mossad, the foreign intelligence agency, conducted several operations inside Iran against Iranian air defenses and against Iranian long-range missiles. But in any case, the IDF has already issued statement to the entire Israeli population that they expect an Iranian retaliation with launching of long-range ballistic missiles and drones, as we saw last October and as we saw in April of 2024. But those Iranian attacks are expected to be much, much wider and stronger. And the question is whether Israel's air defenses can hold, or whether they're going to be overwhelmed by the Iranian retaliation. And if they are overwhelmed, the damages are expected to be very, very high on the Israeli side.
And I mean, just what you're saying here is really striking, Barak. And just, you know, for people who aren't familiar, you are truly one of the best source reporters. And for you to say this is opening up an entirely new phase in the Middle East is obviously not something you say very lightly here. What are you going to be watching for in the next few minutes and hours and days here?
To me, by the way, one of the most striking things tonight was the fact that Secretary of State and Acting National Security Advisor Marco Rubio has issued a statement just a few minutes ago. There is one thing that is not written in this statement. He did not say that the U.S. supports Israel. I think this is something that I cannot remember when a Secretary of State of the United States during wartime between Israel and an adversary, and it's like arch enemy like Iran, and the Secretary of State of the United States puts out a statement and does not say that the U.S. supports Israel. And I think it says a lot about what the Trump administration thinks about this move.
I just want to reread that statement to everyone, just so they know fully what you're talking about. It is from Secretary Rubio, and obviously there is a real question of how President Trump is going to respond to this, because he clearly did not want this to happen. Rubio said, quote, "Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran. Our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel." I mean, you're completely accurate when you say there is no statement there saying the United States stands behind what Israel has done here.
Yes, and I think, again, I don't know why this was not mentioned, but I can guess that the reason is that the United States did not want this to happen. And I'll tell you another thing, Caitlin. Ahead of the Israeli strike, the US government notified several of its allies in the region that an Israeli strike is going to happen ahead of the strike. And in that notification, it said, we are not going to take part in this operation whatsoever. And President Trump's only goal is peace. I think this tells you a lot, because we saw the public statement by the Trump administration, and I now told you about the private messages that the Trump administration gave. And I don't think we can read it any other way but see it as quite a statement by the Trump administration that it does not support this Israeli move.
And just say it again. What was it exactly that they had communicated to allies about the strike beyond saying that they want peace?
Something like, I think, between 30 minutes to an hour before the Israeli jets started launching their missiles, the US government notified several of its allies in the region and around the world and told them that Israel is going to conduct a strike in Iran today, and that the US is not involved in this strike whatsoever, and that the only thing that President Trump wants is peace. Those were the three messages that have been conveyed in private to several US allies earlier today.